man in the experience, Norm, is in the house. We'll be talking about the U.S. Postal Workers and the fact that it is once again time for the annual food drive and what we can do here in Worcester and central Massachusetts to aid them in literally collecting tons of food, which goes very, very quickly. We're going to start out, though, with another great community event, and it is one that is actually coming up this Saturday, but there's still plenty of time for you to come out and be part of it, and it is for the Heart Walk. And Blair, thank you for being here with us. Michael, thank you for being here, representing not only the board, but the Worcester Public Schools as well, who are great partners with the American Heart Association. Blair, let me talk to you first, if you can. Just give us a little bit of the overview. We'll get into the walk itself in a moment, but of the mission of the Heart Association, all that you do. It's one of those things that I think we hear about the organization. We probably think we know all about it, and maybe we don't know everything that you guys are doing.
Right, we do a lot more than people think, and a lot of it's kind of out of sight. Obviously, the part you see is the awareness part. You know, all the changes that have happened over the last few years because of some of the advocacy the Heart Association's promoted. But on a day-to-day basis, we first of all, we fund research. We're the largest funder of research outside of the federal government. And locally, we fund $1.4 million of research here locally at UMass and at Worcester Public WPI.
Interesting. So some of the cures, some of the things that could really help people could be developed right here in Central Mass.
Yes, it is being developed here.
I love it.
And then we work with the hospitals to make sure that they are actually applying the latest science. It's one thing to have that developed. It's another thing to make sure that it gets to the patients. And so we work closely with the hospitals to make sure they really are staying ahead of all the recent developments. We work in high schools and elementary schools and middle schools on programs that help fight childhood obesity and talk about nutrition and exercise. We do a lot of training in the community on hands-only CPR. It's a big component of what we do here locally too. We train in the area colleges, just 2,000 students here just in the last few months, students training students on hands-only CPR. It's an important project for the Heart Association, and it's part of our overall goal to reduce deaths caused by heart disease and stroke. And a lot of that can be done when a sudden cardiac arrest situation, if someone knows how to apply that first aid technique.
Wow, to be right there, and the faster, obviously, that you're able to get to somebody, the more that you're able to hopefully save a life. Let me talk to you, Michael, a little bit about the schools then. So, do you see, or have you seen kind of firsthand, is there more awareness? Because you're right. I mean, we do hear so much more about it, and we do hear about childhood obesity. Is it taking hold with young people?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very interesting question. When I started teaching at the old Voc School on Salisbury Street, there was a faculty member that actually needed an AED, and thank God they had one. And that's one of the big initiatives promoted by the Heart Association. In addition to the CPR, is making sure that buildings are equipped properly, and
yeah, I think there was a bill recently, it just passed, right? So now they will all have them. That's wonderful.
Right, and then John Monfredo, Deborah McGovern, and Carol Manning in the Worcester Public Schools have done a phenomenal job implementing the Heart Association, the CPRs in the Worcester Public Schools. Blair's been working with different groups at different schools as well. And you know, kids these days, I think, really are in tune to their health, but they're also in tune to what they can do for their families and for their neighbors. So it's a nice compliment.
So it really is taking hold. I mean, listen. I mean, I grew up in a generation. Kids, you'd get your lunch, you'd keep the brownie, you'd throw the whole rest of it away, or everybody who brought their lunch had Cheetos or whatever else in there. And it does seem as if maybe we aren't seeing as much of that. The kids really are thinking about this healthier lifestyle.
Well, and I think it's more of a civic responsibility that we teach in schools as well, that students feel it's their obligation to know this and to be prepared for an emergency. And I give a lot of credit to the Heart Association for their advocacy. Because I remember when I was growing up, I'm going to be 40 in a couple weeks, CPR was something that certain people did, nurses, maybe certain administrators in schools. It seemed like there was a barrier or some type of credential.
No, you're
now
it's
more
right. It was
user-friendly.
It's a great point when you just talked about these 2,000 college students, but you're talking about the fact that here it is in the high schools and things as well. I would say, all right, so I also am just going to be turning 40. So, all right, so I'm a little older than that. Yeah, true. Unless one of the kids in my peer group was a lifeguard during the summer, I don't think anybody else, Blair, had any idea what to do.
Right, and the whole point around hands-only CPR is that it empowers people to take control of an emergency situation. You know, not stand around and say, I don't think it's my job, I'm not sure I'm supposed to do this, I'm not positive. It trains people to jump in and do what you have to do. 70% of all sudden cardiac arrests happen in the home. So if you think about that, when we train people on hands-only CPR, we're training them to save the lives of their loved ones. It's not some random sidewalk or mall experience. It's going home and saving a life where there isn't, you know, time is of essence. And if it happens at home, by the time someone gets there that is trained, then it's too late. And so we're giving people permission and the basic skills to make a difference. And we talk to we hear the success stories all the time.
What made you decide to donate your time to give back to the American Heart Association?
Well, I've always been a supporter of the American Heart Association. I have a cousin who's suffered from some pretty complex heart issues, but Steve McLaughlin, the CEO of St. Vincent's and Blair, tapped to me and they connected with me to join the board, and I'm working with them to do some grassroots type of organic community networking and building, you know, networking and capacity building in that way. But if it's good for kids, if it's good for the community, then I'm on board 100%.
And that's what we're hearing here. So it really is these connections, and as we're hearing, strong Central Massachusetts connection through the research, through what's happening in our school systems. Let me ask you a slightly different question than I asked Michael. Over these last 30, 40 years, is it more that even just everybody is a little bit more aware of what they should be eating? Again, it's out there, and we hear about it all the time, but are we paying attention to it?
Yeah, and I think the Heart Association goes about it from a couple different ways. One, we're going to educate you on your risks and help you manage those risks, but we're also going to help make it easier for you to make the right choice. For instance, we work with manufacturers, food manufacturers, to reduce the sodium content in their foods. So you don't have to be quite as conscious and read the labels. If it's excess sodium and they can take it out, then automatically, without doing anything, you're making healthier choices. Right. You know, you asked Michael about kids being more aware. We are helping educate kids around their choices, but we're also working with the school systems to make their lunches and their food offerings more healthy. We work with all businesses. It's amazing how even hospitals, the hospitals are supposedly in business to keep people healthy, and yet you look at the vending machines in the hallway and you think, well, that's not that's not in line with their mission. And so we help businesses, churches, schools kind of inventory how they do their food and beverage offerings so that it's going to be healthier and make it easier to make the right choice. It's really helping people make the right choice, and we make it easy as possible.
I was going to say, Hank, to Blair's point, that the resources that the Heart Association offers, especially with their website, different programs, it's very user-friendly for all age groups. It's not intimidating. You don't feel like you're doing something wrong. You know, sometimes when you want to check in, you know, especially with your heart health or any type of physical, or health issue, it's amazing the number of resources available and at your fingertips through the Heart Association.
Yeah, it really, that is incredible. All right, coming up, let's talk about this walk. It's a great fundraiser, but it's a great way for people to be involved, and obviously it's a great way for people maybe to kick off their own healthy lifestyle as we get into the spring and the summer, and we'll do that straight ahead on the Hank Stolz Experience.
I'm walking, yes indeed, I'm talking, but you and me, I'm hoping that you come back to me.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
This Saturday is the Heart Walk. You can still go. We want you to be there, and let's find out a little bit more about it. Blair, give us a little bit of an overview about what's going to be happening this Saturday. People can go down at 8:30 if they haven't registered already. Registration will be open, and it's going to be at beautiful Lake Park.
Right. Registration is free. There's no minimum fundraising, so we invite just everybody to come and join us. We've got lots of games for kids this year, a whole field full of games. There are all kinds of activities. All the sponsors will be there with information, including AED awareness and some training there. We're also, this year, we have a group of volunteers. We're going to hold the largest hands-only CPR training ever in Massachusetts.
Wow.
We're going to have 70 mannequins lined up on the field, and everybody will get a chance to learn a little bit about hands-only CPR, and so that they can take it home and train others and have that skill themselves. There'll be a pretty good crowd. The walk starts at 10. There's food for everybody. There's band afterwards. We stay and enjoy the band. And it's just a beautiful day in the park there. You know, it's a great place for toddlers and strollers because it's all contained. We don't leave the park. It makes it really nice.
Yeah, and Michael, that is one of this. I mean, it really is a family-friendly event. It is all of these people coming together. You get to stay after. It's a nice walk. Is it 2 walks, a mile, or the?
It's 5 miles. It's
miles,
a mile
and
and
then
a quarter around the lap, and so if you take 4 laps, you got 5 miles in.
Right. And I mean, you know, you can do the walk, and then you're just there for a terrific day.
And lending ourselves, you know, to the last discussion about just community involvement. Any parents with kids on sports teams or anyone interested in learning CPR, hands-on CPR, should come down. And,
well, that is, yeah. I mean,
even if they
there
can't commit to the walk, but at least just for that piece.
Yeah, I know you're right about that. And there are all those different teams. You're
Mm-hmm.
right. There's all kinds of kids from cheerleaders to kids in karate classes to all of these wonderful corporate sponsors who will help put together teams as well and bring them and be there. So it's a great way for the whole community to get together. No, I'm not going to jinx you guys, but no matter what the weather, I mean, it really is. I mean, it really is a fun day. So don't worry about the weather. The walk will go on. Will go on regardless. When you have all of those people come together, and I just mentioned some of these corporate sponsors, you do have some wonderful corporate sponsors here. You talked about the work that's being done in Central Massachusetts, but there are businesses that support and get their employees. Their employees get very excited about doing some of these great events.
Right. We work together with them year round. The walk is just like the one point in the cycle, but UMass and St. Vincent are 2 very strong supporters. Commerce Bank has always supported us. We work with a number of other organizations in the community that then support the walk, but then the rest of the year they take advantage of programs that the Heart Association provides. Like I'm going to be at Unum on Wednesday training their employees on hands-only CPR. We just did it at GE Healthcare. And so, you know, there's ways to work year-round around employee health, employee wellness, and community outreach, and they're eager to do that.
Boy, that is terrific. Which kind of brings us, you know, Michael, full circle then back to the schools, back to the way in which you got involved, and back in the way in which it really is a community effort when it comes to the nutrition, when it comes to some of the hands-free CPR. These are all things that there are just so many different partners. Well,
it's been great with Maureen Benenda when she became superintendent of schools. There's always been a relationship between the Heart Association and the Worcester Public Schools, but in typical Maureen fashion, there's a renewed energy and certainly a call to action for other schools and other programs to get involved, and she's very supportive, which is very much appreciative. And especially with John Monfredo's leadership, and again, Carol Manning and Deborah McGovern. We've got amazing people in the schools that are really, really part of the whole piece of this whole big picture.
At the Heart Walk, we're going to honor teachers at Worcester Tech, Jeff Lane and Judy Malott, with the Heart Hero Award because of their work around training CPR. They've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. They train every sophomore and every senior every year on the full certification course, not just the hands only. Those kids walk out with a 2-year certification, and they've just been doing that forever because they know it's the right thing to do, and so we're honoring them at the walk.
Well, I have to say, I mean, it is the right thing to do, and boy, congratulations to them for that dedication, for really making that happen, because we do live in a world in which there's so much. I was going to say we're kind of bombarded. I mean, it's all good, but we have so many competing messages out there. To be able to get your message out, in some ways, I suppose, it's easier because you have all these different outlets, but everybody is tweeting at you. Everybody is saying, hey, can you give me some of your time? Can you come out to a walk? Can you make a donation? Your job to be able to kind of cut through some of that and make sure that the Heart Association's message continues to get out there. I don't know, in 2017, is it a little tougher in some ways?
You just got to work with a lot of partners in the community, and we've got a lot of partners in the community. That makes it easier. We find partners that are lining up with our mission and say it's to our mutual benefit to get this message out, and it makes it a lot easier. And so it's a community effort, and you know, our partnership with the Worcester Public Schools is just an example of that. And every time we can find a partner that says, hey, this is in our best interest as well, let's work together on this, it just makes it that much easier.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, as a board member of several organizations in Worcester and you know, different causes that I've supported, I have to give a lot of credit to the Heart Association because they really meet the individual at where their need is or their desire is. So if it's working with high school kids or middle school or elementary school kids or elderly or any age group, they're very cognizant of the messaging, the different aspects of heart health, and again, making it user-friendly, so it's practical application, if that's the right word, but that's a credit to your organization for that laying that foundation.
Yeah.
And if you think exponentially, just alone in the schools, never mind all the corporations in Worcester, of how many people will benefit from this or could benefit from this. So there are approximately 500 students in a class year at Worcester Tech, and then they're training 2 class years. That's 1,000 students alone, times their family members, friends, their network, wherever you, right? I mean, these are huge numbers, so.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Listen, we have just a moment left, just enough time to tell people again, if they want to come, please, and they can just show up on Saturday, or there's still time to sign up online?
Right, you can sign up online, take advantage of that resource. You can show up on Saturday. You can do both, and it'll be a good time, and we're looking forward to seeing you there too.
Yes, oh, thank you. I will be there, and I'm looking forward to being able to talk to people there as well. And it's going to be a great walk. We'll see you there on Saturday. Coming up, we're going to tell you how you can also get involved with, this one's pretty easy. You're just going to leave some canned goods out, and then the mailmen are going to do all the heavy lifting, literally. We'll tell you about that coming up on the Hank Stolz Experience.
Do the walk all night. Yeah, you do the walk all night.